How's it going, everybody? I am Dan Lohmar. I'm a certified financial planning professional with United Wealth Management, where we specialize in PR management and financial planning for pilots at United Airlines. And like many of you, my business partner, Alan Bewley, and I are both pilots for United. Welcome to another video. Hey, if you haven't done it, remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you know when new videos come out. So we are looking at some challenging times again in the airline industry. And we're going from great pay to who knows what's going to happen here in the near future. But with great pay comes the tendency to maybe lose a little bit of a spending discipline. But when I say spending discipline, I'm not talking about a budget, trying to regain that control of our spending, not in the sense of a budget. I'm not a big budgeting guy. In my opinion, budgets are very restrictive, they're very tedious, they're hard to follow. They don't really give you much good feedback, and you lose a little bit of a sense of freedom where you really don't have to with a budget. So what I'm talking about is a spending plan that looks forward. Let's talk about what it is, and I'll show you what I do. I've been on a surplus line now for a couple months, so I'm at reduced pay. So this is what I've been doing. It's been working out for me, and I really like the ease of it. I think it's very simple, and it's a great way to execute it. You can use this whether you're retired, whether you are looking at a pay cut, a pay raise, working, laid off, any time that you feel like you want to have a better sense of control, but still a sense of freedom around your money. This is what I do. So I've got my take home right here. I put it into 3 different accounts. I kind of call this the 3 buckets spending strategy. So my take home pay goes into a regular checking account, which I use to pay past obligations. Things I pay on a regular basis that I've already committed to paying. I have a second checking account over here, which I pay lifestyle expenses, or what my present day life, what I'm doing today and this week. So I use that account to pay present day lifestyle expenses, and I fund this account every 7 days. Why 7 days? A budget is a 30-day, like a budget is something that most typically looks at things on a 30-day basis. When you do it on a 7-day basis, it's much, much easier to mentally account for it. Let's just say you get day 5 into it. Say you fund it on a Friday like I do, and on Tuesday or Wednesday, you're down to your last dollar. It's much, much easier to wait 2 more days until that thing is fully funded again. Whereas with a budget, you might run out of money or blow your budget or go over a line item or whatever on day 25. And then it would say, hey, you got to wait 5 more days before you can do this again, or 7 more days. That's just too long. And that's why people don't usually stay on track with a budget. It's very restrictive in that manner, not very flexible. So I do this every 7 days, and gives me a much more sense of freedom. And the other thing about it is that I know it's funded every Friday morning, and so like even if I get low, I hit like, hey, 2 more days, there's going to be money in there, and I make this an automatic transfer. Now, my third bucket, or my third different types of accounts, is that's for future spending. So one of the problems with the budget, again, is just say you save on average $50 a month for a home repair. And then on the 10 months later, you finally have a home repair you have to do, and it's $1,000, and it says, hey, you blew your budget because of more than your average monthly amount. So this is a way to save a little bit at a time for future expenses, emergency funding, college savings, maybe in retirement, vacations, holidays. It's a great way to save on a regular basis for those things that are a little bit more uneven. So talking more specifically about the types of accounts that are in here. So again, past commitments and your past bucket, mortgage, gas and electric, cell phone, insurance, stuff like that, stuff you're going to pay on a regular basis. In my present day bucket, these are things, again, that can vary, and I can delay them a couple of days usually. Groceries, fast food, dining out, auto gas, shopping, hobbies, entertainment. So those are the types of things we have in there. We fund this every 7 days. In that way, there's no more accounting. There's more. You don't have to put hard dollar amounts on groceries. You don't have to say, hey, I'm only going to spend $50 a month on eating out, or whatever the case may be. There's just a whole lot more flexibility in that. All you have to do is say, look, at the end of 7 days, it's done. And then on the future bucket, I mentioned this. So this is more like emergency funding, seasonal expenses like holidays, birthdays, home and auto repairs, things that are a little bit more uneven or longer term. And the other thing about it too is on your future expense bucket is you can have multiple accounts. It doesn't have to be just one account. It's typically, it's a better idea to have multiple accounts and different types of accounts. And when I say bucket, these are literally different accounts. So I label them, actually go into Schwab and actually label them for what they are for. So I do have one account, which I use for emergency funds and uneven expenses throughout the year. I've got another one where I save for vacations and holidays, and then other accounts where I'm saving for, college savings. And this, these don't even have to be at the same institution. But the concept of it is just kind of mentally earmarking what those accounts are for and when the money is transferred into those things. So that's kind of what that looks like as far as different buckets there. The other thing is for the control bucket, you could have one for each of you, your husband and wife, or you might have one for joint, his and hers, however you want to do it, and you could fund them each separately also. The advantage, I think, of having two separate accounts for his and hers is it avoids the discussion of what did you spend money on? So we've all had those discussions right there. And look, as long as you both agree that at the end of 7 days, whatever's spent out of there is spent out of there. And when it's gone, it's gone. You got to wait till it gets replenished to avoid some of that backwards looking discussion as to where the money went. Usually there's a little bit more freedom of discretion there. So that's kind of the big picture of how that works. What's really cool about this is it is, as opposed to a budget with has 15 or 20 line items, this is literally your spending plan. It's as simple as you can get. Here's your take-home pay. You figure out what your past obligations are. You figure out what you wanted to save for your future accounts, and what you've got remaining. You would divide this by 4 weeks. Actually, you divide it by 30 days in a month, and then multiply it by 7. That's how your transfer amount is going to be weekly, and that's what you transfer into, say, your single lifestyle account each week. That's automatic. And again, that's a whole lot easier than looking at a 20 or a 30 line item budget and going over by 1 penny and getting warnings and all this other stuff. I think it offers a lot more freedom and flexibility, but still giving you a sense of control of where your money is going. You do have to kind of figure out what your expenses are. The past expenses are usually pretty easy. These are just some examples of things you can figure out. And again, there's no hard dollar amounts on any one of these things. You just get X amount figured into these things per week, and you decide how much you put into here versus put into here. If you don't want to blow your if you don't want to blow your income, then it's whatever is most important to you, whether you spend it on current day lifestyle or saving for the future. That's how you decide what is most important to you in your spending. What are some questions, or actually how about implementing this? So I literally do rename my accounts at Schwab, whatever that type of account is. So I do literally have a checking account called Past Obligations, a checking account called Present Day, and then my future accounts are various like brokerage accounts, which I'll label differently. But again, a future account might be an IRA that you contribute to regularly, or a 529 plan. So it doesn't have to be just a checking or a savings account. The other thing that's key is auto transfers. Make things as automatic as possible. Pay mortgage automatically, pay my insurance automatically, just automatic deductions out of those accounts. And then the transfer from one account to the other is automatic also. So I'm trying to make it as simple as possible so that the only thing I have to pay attention to is how much is in that account on a 7-day basis that I can use for discretionary spending. Questions come up. What about credit cards? Credit cards don't work well with this because credit cards don't have a limit, and it's too hard to keep yourself limited to an amount. It's much mentally easier to see an account balance going from a high amount to a low amount and knowing that you're coming toward the end, rather than going from 0 on a credit card up to saying, hey, I'm just going to limit myself to $400 or $700 a week, whatever the case may be. Just doesn't work that way. It's too easy to go over. The other thing I'll say about that is I have auto draft protection on my accounts turned off, because once my account balance in my discretionary spending account goes to zero, I don't want to pull money from a savings account that goes in there. I want to have control of it, so I don't like auto draft protection turned on. Now, whether that's a good idea for you or not, I don't know, because I don't know all the implications of bank fees at your bank. But for me, even if I was getting charged a small fee for that, to me, it's worth it. But anyway, I've got it turned off, so just keep that in mind also. And again, back to credit cards, it's just too difficult to do. What people like to do is, if you like to spend, get your credit card points, is like save up for your big expenses, your vacation, put all of your vacation expenses on your credit card, and then use the amount you've saved up to pay the credit card off. But again, it doesn't work that great on the regular weekly stuff. I use debit cards, and I'm not a big credit card fan to begin with. And then going back, how do you know what your expenses are? Well, the past obligation expenses should be pretty easy to figure out. You can go back and look at your checkbook, your account transactions for that stuff. The other stuff involves a little bit more financial planning for your longer term stuff, and a little bit more homework as to like what you might spend on auto repairs per year, or car home repairs. But that's just something that you do have to go back and figure out. At United Wealth Management, each one of our clients has a personal financial website. And in that personal financial website, they can link credit card accounts, checking accounts, so they could actually see all your account transactions right there in one place. And that's a very great resource for figuring out where money has gone in the past and what your expenses might be that way. Hey, if you got any questions about this, I'll be glad to talk about it. I know it's a little bit of a new system. You may or may not have heard something like this before, but like I said, it's working for me. I've been on surplus line. I think it's a great way to do it. It's very easy to implement, and I'm not sitting there trying to track every penny as to according to what a budget might be. But if you got any questions about it, shoot me an email, dan@unitedwealthmanagement.com. I also have a contact me link in the show notes in YouTube. And hey, if this is not your cup of tea, or you just want some help with this system, or financial planning, investment management, hey, I'm open for business. So keep that in mind. I'd be glad to sit down and figure out what we can do to work together. If you're interested in that, contact me. Hook up with me on LinkedIn. Trying to build the network out right there on LinkedIn. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and remember to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you know when new videos come out. Hey, in the meantime, be healthy and fly safe.